All right, so what we're going to learn, we're going to talk about the why, the who, the what, and the how. There's usually another W in there, but I forgot what it is. So yeah, why podcasting is important to your state. That's it, where. So I guess we'll say the where and the why are kind of, what's it, the 4 W's and the H. Anyways, so who am I? Because is there any legitimacy to me being here at all? So I'll tell you a little bit of my background. So originally, film and television. I'm from California. So I directed this movie Connect, a TV show called One-on-One, and I produced and directed The Homeschool Awakening. I'm not sure if anyone saw that film, but, oh, thank you. Sometimes I bring that up, and as you guys know, in a niche community, someone will be like, I got some problems, and you're going to hear about them. That was like, so doing this, which I'm sure you guys hear all the time too. So doing this film convinced me and my wife to homeschool. I was out during COVID shooting it, calling my wife back home, who was with the littles. It's like, we're going to homeschool. She's like, fat chance. Like, I'm out with my friends in Airbnb, shooting a movie, eating food. I'm like, this is fantastic. We'll just stay home. Anyway, so we'll move past this. This is not about me. This is about you. And yes, so that's where we're at now. There's some of our shows. We do Kirk Cameron's American Podcast, or American Campfire Revival. Do Zan Tyler's, my personal favorite. Juggling Life, Finding Balance, Teacher Edition, which is for private Christian school teachers with BJU Press. There's a lot more. We also do Dr. Roger Smith's, which is one of my favorites. At the very least, you guys should subscribe to Zan's and Roger's, or Kirk if you want. Anyway, so here's some of the stats, and there's a lot more since then, but they update quickly. So anyways, the reason why I did that is there's the connection to film and television, why homeschooling is important to me, and I brought it into the podcasting world. So we're going to talk about the problem, why and who. Boop, boop. Again, if I'm going quick, you guys just say slow down. I think I have. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you are asking, because every single one of you that came to my booth asked this, why do we need another homeschool podcast? The best one already exists, Zan Tyler, Thriving in Your Homeschool. So why, but no, really, like, why would we do another one? Do we need more encouragement? Do we need more understanding? Well, let me ask you, I asked my wife, I said, if there was a podcast for homeschoolers, there's a lot, but if there was one for homeschool families in the state of Colorado, she said, and she's like, that's the one I'm listening to. That's the only one I'm going to listen to, because it's talking directly to me where I'm at. Every state organization, you don't have to hire me, do it yourself. You need a podcast for your state. And every time you do an episode, it should funnel through that lens. How does this content help the homeschooler in my state? What do they need to know? Where are the meetups? And let's see if I did any more of this. Okay, yeah. So where are the meetups? What are the legal situations? What do I need to understand? I'm new, I'm seasoned, I'm lonely. I'll do a whole nother slide on that. It also needs to be part of an overall cohesive plan and strategy. And I'm going to go into more depth in that one, but that one's really important, because I'm sure a lot of you are also thinking too, this is just another thing. I got to get a volunteer. I got to find a host. I got to get content. I'm already trying to figure out some emails. I'm already trying to update the website. We got 65 different options on the top of our, you know what I mean? So I see everyone nodding. And then multi-purpose media. I'm really excited to go into that one, because basically what's going to happen is we're going to answer all of those problems by centralizing on one focused engine part of your podcast and milking that cow to fix all of the other issues. So anyways, the loneliness epidemic. I was going to go more into this, but after hearing a lot of presentations, I think you all know how lonely homeschool families can feel, especially newer. So I'm part of the newest generation. I have 5 kids. My oldest is only 8. I have 7. I have 5 under 8. The youngest are twins, and so my wife has had some days, and she's here right now, so I'm not trying to put her on blast, but you all know, like, there's these days where, like, my kids are going to public school. Like, we already know all that's like, they'll turn out this, like, I don't care right now. They're going to public school. So these families need support. They need help, and that's why your state orgs are there. I heard most of your pitches. Like, of course, that's what you're there for, to help, to be there, that like, hey, let us put you in touch with someone in your city. We know someone in Colorado Springs. We know someone in Boulder. We know someone in Aurora. We know someone in Pueblo. That's all Colorado. Or California. We know someone in your area. We're going to put you in touch with them. So that's just one of the issues. So I'm going to go into a lot more detail, but up until this point, any questions? Everyone fully understands what to do? Okay, we're good. So we're going to get into the gear and tech. All right, so we'll start with the video. You absolutely need to be doing video and audio. There's over 3 million podcasts out there. Oh, I had notes. I totally forgot I had notes. What are we on now? Podcast. Oh, yeah.
Gear and tech.
Gear and tech. I did skip over, I'm sorry, one more, the graphics. According to my notes, the graphics, because I went to public school. So this is just a note, write this down. A lot of times people want to get really creative with their podcast title, like Thoughts and Feelings with Suzanne, or like all of these things, which is great. Don't do that. Think about, okay, I need help. What am I typing in? And that needs to be the title of your podcast, essentially. So when we did Zan's for a month or two, it was the Zan Tyler podcast, which is great. And then we realized it's for people homeschooling who want to thrive. So bing, and Zan came up with the title, not me. So it's Zan Tyler, Thriving in Your Homeschool. And we definitely saw an uptick in downloads because that's what people are actually looking for. Like, how do I thrive in this situation? So for you, I'm sure it's Oregon. Is Oregon represented here? I just guessed too. It's one of my favorite states. It's a little rainy, but it is beautiful. So think like that, right? Like I'm homeschooling in Oregon, or home educators of Oregon. Like, it's got to be so clear. And it should really look to match the branding with your state homeschool organization. People should know this is the same entity. The font should be the same. I'm sure most of your state orgs have a branding package, primary and secondary and tertiary fonts, primary, secondary, tertiary colors. Do that with the podcast too. It doesn't have to be the name, it doesn't have to be Czech, it doesn't have to be whatever your acronym is, but make sure people know, oh, that's Colorado, that's Oregon, that's Massachusetts. Got that? Okay. Moving on to the video gear. So I'll do best, good, and free, which everyone loves that. So this is my personal favorite for video gear, the Elgato Camlink 4K with the Sony a6400. If anyone's familiar with tech, they always pick a number, and then every year it just goes higher. So I don't know what the Sony's on now. It could be a Sony a6600. For Zan, we're using the 6400. And for the record, I flew to Zan. Sorry, I'm talking to you a lot about you, Zan. I flew to Zan. We set this up. This is her setup. And I have not been there in over a year and a half, and we've still cranked out like 60 episodes. So she figured it out just fine. We're able to do it. This is probably the best quality you're going to get.
So this is a camera?
Yeah, so the Sony a6400 is the camera right there, and the Camlink is there. Long story short, the Camlink will take an HDMI signal, convert it to USB, and then you plug the USB into the camera, essentially telling your computer, treat whatever's plugged into this HDMI as a webcam. Make sense? It's also expensive, so we'll move on to the good. The way Logitech names things, I don't know if anyone's in IT, but good gracious. It's the Logitech MX Brio Ultra HD 4K. Yeah. But so that's around $200. A lot of times you can score these on Amazon. They go on sale for like $150. The big difference here and takeaway is, one, the Sony a6400, you can get whatever Sony lens you want. They got Sony zoom lenses, prime lenses. This, you're stuck with whatever it is. The Sonys have probably the most sensitive sensors, so they just don't need a lot of light. You should still do lighting, but you don't need a lot. You need a lot more light with the Logitech. But I have clients, I have 2-3 clients, this is exactly what they're using, the Logitech. It doesn't look as good as the Sony, but to most of us, we wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. It just, ironically, it takes more finagling, but it's only $200. And the third option, which I'm sure you all know, your phone. So it's obviously not free, but the retail price of a new iPhone is like, what, $2,000 at this point? So most of you already have those, which cost more than these anyways. And I get asked this a lot. Don't use your built-in iMac or your webcam if you can help it. They need a lot of light, and I'm sure a lot of you who have been on podcasts have noticed like how it doesn't look very good. Just frustrating when a MacBook Pro costs $3,000. But they don't really invest in the cameras on these compared to what they do on the phones. Any questions about the video gear? Going once, going twice. Okay, so audio. A lot of people will forgive. Oh, got it. Oh, I should mention, I need more of these postcards. You will get all of this gear information with links if you fill out that postcard. So just make sure you do that because you'll get the Did anyone get the ebook already? Okay, good. That means the the systems are working. It'd be a real problem if you didn't. So yeah, you'll get the links to all those. And you have my email, and again, there will be a sales pitch at the end for like 10 seconds. Even if you never hire my company, please just email me. Just be like, hey, Caleb, we're stuck with this. I helped out, I think it was Indiana. They had some Apple Podcast issues, and give it a shot. So anyway, moving on. Audio, a lot of coming from film and television. I stick with this. People will forgive bad video if they can hear it really well. I saw Born Identity in the theaters, and I still don't know what that movie's about, but I could hear it clearly. Anyone else see that with Matt? Yeah. I was like in the second row, I was like, I'm gonna throw up because it was when the handheld was really popular, but I could hear it, so we all stuck around. So the best I prefer is the Rode Pod mic. They're only like $99, but it's XLR, so you will need something called an audio interface. I prefer the Scarlett 2i2. Scarlett is a good, now this irritates me, but when you search this on Amazon, again, you'll get a hot link. I'll put you on my portal, so it'll take you straight to it. But when you search Scarlett 2i2, most of them on Amazon aren't actually Scarletts, and you can tell. It's always those brands, like Xingchuaka or whatever. But like that looks like. Wait a minute. No, okay. Or it'll be like. That was good. Or instead of Scarlett, it'll be like Marlet or Farlet. So the brand is Focusrite Scarlett, so make sure it's the right one. So it goes into the audio interface. The audio interface goes into the computer. This is a computer solution. Okay. Rode PodMic did just release a USB mic. I haven't tested it, so I can't confidently tell you it's good. If you just want a microphone and don't want to deal with the Scarlett situation, again with the Scarlett, I should back up. If you're able to pull off a podcast where people are always together, which is best, you'll need something like the Scarlett because it has multiple XLR inputs, so you can put multiple microphones in there. If you have a USB mic, you're stuck with just really that because the computer can't register usually multiple inputs. Does that make sense? Like it's going to read an audio input from the USB and read that as one, which is why when you have a Scarlett, you can put as many microphones in that, you mix it, and it sends to the computer. Okay. This is the Deity VO7U. Again with these names. Nancy Manos, this is what she uses, because I recommended it, and she sounds crystal clear whenever she's on podcasts and calls. So if you know you're going to be a solo thing, you're just going to have people call in, I recommend that one. You don't have to use an interface. It's the same price as a Rode Pod mic. It's wonderful. And then for free, the phone. Yeah, everyone wants that one. Quick rules with the phone: quiet room. Room like this would actually be good because it has the soft walls, carpet. Don't do your show in a big vaulted ceiling space. You want it relatively contained. Think radio. Contained space, nice, quiet. And then the rule with the phone is you don't want to be like really far. The rule is usually about this distance, so that microphone's like direct pickup. Speak loud and clear direct into it. Any questions about audio?
I have a question.
Okay,
about
good.
Using your phone, using your phone, we have used phones for video and then used like the wireless lapel mics.
That connect via Bluetooth?
Repeat the question.
Yes, so the question she's asking is about...
From North Carolina, sorry.
Oh, thank you. North Carolina. Her question was, if we're going to use the phone option, what would be a good microphone option? And the reason why I couldn't recommend something confidently is a lot of them are garbage, and I would have to buy a lot of them so I could tell you the best. I would say if it's less than $40, don't waste your time. I really do not recommend wireless AirPods. It's too 50-50. We've had a lot of people on Zan's show, and halfway through the Bluetooth will drop for a second and pick back up, and now it's out of sync. And that's just a nightmare. Not that it'd be your problem if you're hiring another editor, it's gonna be their problem. But yeah, don't do that. And I actually was searching it this morning, what you should do, if you have an iPhone or an Android, and anyone else have Android? So I don't, okay, good, plenty of us. It's USB-C, that's what that is. So they make converters that will split out of here and split your headphone and your microphone. And that microphone input is a 3.5 millimeter input. And so then on Amazon, you would type in 3.5 millimeter dynamic microphone and make sure it's like at least $40. That'll sound good. And I'm really sorry I can't recommend something solid. I just need to, but that would be, and you can email me later and I'll probably maybe make an announcement or send it to you if I find a good one. But that's what I would do. But don't even mess with the cheap wireless stuff like that. Like, don't bother. Any other questions about audio? Okay. Lighting. This is so overlooked, so don't overlook it. All right, the best, I would get the newer packs. I've actually seen these for even less than that. In fact, you should just get these. Don't look at them. Like, they're not that expensive. And if you get the softbox attachment, so I mean, the lights alone are only $180 for a 2-pack with stands, which is bananas. Wow. When I was in film school, not attainable. And then you get the softbox attachment because you want soft light, not hard light. Anyone know the difference between soft light and hard light? I'll just explain it. Like, these are kind of soft, but they're overhead, so you don't want this type of lighting. Soft light just means that it's soft. And like think of, yeah, it's diffused. Yeah, so think of like a lampshade. Like, that's all nice, beautiful, diffused, soft light. So you want a soft light on your face so they can see. And I'll go over the studio setup on like how you should do these. Don't do ring lights. You know, the big circle thing. You go, please don't. I mean, if you want to, fine. Like, don't tell me how do you live your life. But you'll look like an alien because when you're looking, that's what they're originally designed for, was makeup. So because it would do ideally they're supposed to be normally this big and the camera's this way because it doesn't create an even thing here. So the makeup artist can do that. But what happens when you do a Zoom call with that is you look like an alien because you have this like circle, like green thing going on in your eyeballs, which yeah, everyone's seen it. So don't recommend that. Gets the job done. It's a 2-pack of LED lights. You'll have a link to these. These are just cheap, like much cheaper knockoffs. Amazon's full of them. The key with lights as well is just stay consistent with whatever brand you get. So Newer, however you say, it's a Chinese brand that's really good. I use them, but just all of these things are made, except the Sonys. Those are made in Japan. But the rule with like LED lights, even if they're cheap, is just stick to a brand because they're all usually manufactured in the same place. Because all LED diodes have a slightly different hue. So if you're having different ones, you're going to get like little green, little yellow, and the camera will just be like, what is happening? Like, so just stick to the same brand. And then in a pinch, not your phone, a window with a curtain, which is self-explanatory. And oftentimes looks really, really great. So, you know, if this is, there's ways to do this, guys, with like very little to no money. It's not, you know. Any questions about lighting? No? Good, okay. Studio space. I got tired of the transitions, as you can tell. So small room, low regular ceilings. This would be fine, but these are all, what do you call these? Acoustic tiles, and that's why it sounds so clear in here. Avoid hard surfaces. You don't want to put your back right against a wall. I see that mistake a lot. They'll have like a nice bookcase, and they'll just slam their back right there. So always try to be at least 4 feet or so. That creates, that creates a nice distance. It's of separation from the background. That's kind of the rule of any cinematography. Is your main subject needs to have separation. You do that with lighting and actual separation. So camera position direct. It's kind of obvious. That's another problem with the built-ins is it's like looking down. You don't want that. You want it nice, straight, eye level. So, and then the lighting. Let's say this is where I'm going to have my podcast. And got the camera set up like right here, nice eye level. The lights should be right about here. I do 1 there and 2 here. So not down and straight. You want up just a little bit at an angle, nice and soft. And then there's a picture. That's 3-point lighting. Another way you can separate, we do this with Zan, you don't have to, but I think it looks nice, is a backlight. And a backlight that's not diffused usually. You can a little bit, but that's behind the person at the back of them, which creates a nice little edge light. Again, don't have to do all those things. That's if you're doing the whole, really going for it, like diffused light, backlight, the whole bit. Any questions on studio space location? All right.
I've got one question. I've done some stuff with the teleprompter. And when I've got the teleprompter and the camera, and it gets weird trying to figure out where to look and how, because I got to look at the teleprompter, but unless I've got the camera going through the teleprompter.
Yes, so Elgato just released a phone teleprompter for podcasters. So Elgato is the same company that made the Camlink. Oh, another thing. when you get the Cam Link, it should be about $90, and they all look the same. So make sure it says Elgato Cam Link if you're going that, because again. So yeah, Elgato. So if you search, because that's a good question, search Elgato teleprompter. They have these new ones, like your phone can actually just clip right in there. You're going to get to a point where doing this completely by yourself would not be the best. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the more features you add in, you're going to need some help. But yeah, you get someone to like really lock that in there, and then that would serve that problem. Yeah.
How far should you have your camera, phone, whatever, away from you?
Oh, that's a good question. About right here. She asked a good distance camera lens to face. It's about right around here. And always horizontal, never vertical.
Amen.
Always horizontal. You can crop in later to cut your reels and make them vertical, but you want your core content horizontal. Oh, sorry, thank you. He asked about teleprompter and still the space, the distance from the lens. This goes back to the more features you add, the more complex, especially a teleprompter, the more complex things will get. But yes, you're right. You need, the closer you are, the more you're going to see the eyes read. So avoid that. Software. Here we go. Use Riverside. I used to recommend something called Iris, and it crashed so many times on me, and it didn't tell me it was crashing. So Riverside could have its whole 2, 3, 4 hour training on itself. There's a lot of YouTube videos. I'm happy to help you guys if we're partnering together. Another one is StreamYard. I'm sure a lot of people have used StreamYard for probably your live events and stuff like that. I prefer the quality of Riverside. This is the classic software situation of they do lots of things, but what was the first thing they set out to do? Because that's usually what they're best at. You know what I mean? StreamYard started as a streaming service. So you can do your Facebook parties, your homeschool gatherings, and then put it out. And then eventually they said, this would be great for podcasting. Riverside's the opposite. It started with Weir for podcasting, and then they added the live streaming. It's one of those things, jack of all trade, master of none, but better than being a master of none. Is that what they call that? Yeah. So I recommend Riverside. It's like they have a free plan, so I would just do that and get started. And then I was just walking someone through this. It was like $10 a month, and then even the pro account's like $30. So it's an inexpensive product. What's obnoxious is if you're a company like mine and you call and say we need more features, the jump from 30 goes to 1,500 a month. So if you hit a feature problem, just don't call. Like that's how much it is. Just don't bother. Just create multiple accounts. Like, it's ridiculous. But if you're already using StreamYard, that works out great too. The quick explanation on the tech. How are we doing on time?
Doing fine.
Oh, we're doing great. Quick explanation on the tech. The way Riverside works and why you should never, under any circumstance, use Zoom or Google Hangouts, and I know most of us are, so I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but the way Zoom works is it's taking data and it is prioritizing the meeting because it wants to make sure people can be seen or heard. So there's data drop-offs, there's bit rate drop-offs, the audio gets real pretty, starts to like this for a while. Or so what Riverside does, and StreamYard, is it will, like if we're on a call and you're in your state and I'm in mine, it's on your local device, it's going to record the audio and video to your device, and it's recording it to mine, and it's doing the Zoom thing where it's recording live our conversation. But that actually becomes the backup. Then when we hit stop recording, it takes the data, the audio and the video from your device and mine, and then puts them in the cloud. So then when I'm editing, like when I produce for Zan, I have multiple options. And if there was a drop off in the client, I always have the backup of the master recording with the split screen. That's why I use Riverside. All right, what do we got? Editing. Again, this is really nuanced. Editing is a lot. I don't recommend you do it yourself. If you don't want to hire us, that's fine. Maybe you can find a volunteer, an intern. Usually churches have some AV kids that you want to get into this. Find someone else, unless you really love editing and want to get in there. So believe it or not, DaVinci Resolve is completely free. It's industry standard. It's professional. It's what they edit movies on. They really kicked the door down in the film industry when they bought it, when Blackmagic bought it and then made it free, which is wild. With that said, the learning curve is very steep because it's professional. I didn't even put other ones because you should do video and audio. There's also Adobe Premiere. You probably know people in the Adobe suite. Final Cut Pro, iMovie, something. But Resolve, I'm trying to help keep this cost low. Resolve's totally free. But if you downloaded it, you'd probably be frustrated at me because there's a learning curve, but again, it's totally free. So audio uploading, I support Podbean. We have the enterprise account. The big boys, so to speak, the Dave Ramseys, all of them, they're all on a platform called Megaphone. Megaphone is industry standard. It's also the most expensive, and it doesn't really have the features you probably need. So I recommend Podbean. If you guys are already on something else, there's Buzzsprout, Blueberry, Libsyn. Podbean allows something called dynamic insertion. Since I'm doing great on time, I'll explain what that means. So dynamic insertion is, have you ever heard a podcast ad play? And sometimes you can tell, oh, that was added later. So dynamic insertion means when you upload to a platform, you can tell it a point in your episode and put a data point, and you've dynamically inserted a data point, which means later if you sell ads, which will probably help you guys pay for your podcast, or if your conference is coming up, you can upload that advertisement, or it could even just be you saying, hey, we got this conference coming up, blah, 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 Rocky Mountain, yada, yada, and it'll automatically place it in every episode in the past. The professionals, when we sell ads, so I do ad negotiation for Kirk Cameron's American Campfire Revival. We do that because then after someone is paid for X amount of downloads, we can go back to them. Like right now we're working with Christian Healthcare Ministries. We can say, hey, is this should we keep going? And if like, no, this is awesome, great experience, but we're doing something else. Or we can say, hey, we sold this ad spot to someone else. I just go in there, remove the ad, and put a new one in. And it automatically puts it in all the episodes. So for you guys, that would be really helpful probably when conference time comes up and you're like, hey, let's put a dynamic ad in the beginning of our program. And by the way, you don't have to put something in there. It can just live there until you're ready. And then you're like, hey, conference is coming up in a month. Let's record something and get that in there so the beginning of all our episodes, and it goes retroactive too. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Yes. I see hands do this.
And that's Podbean that allows that? Or
So the question was, is that Podbean that allows dynamic insertion? Getting better. Yes, so here's the ones that allow dynamic insertion. Podbean, Megaphone, and Captivate, I know for sure. I'm sure others support it, but those are the ones I've used personally, and I know they work. Megaphone's the best, it's most expensive, so I recommend Podbean.
And then does it also do, so that the audio, does it also?
Doesn't do the video, and that's a real contentious point. So people are frustrated because there's no way to do dynamic insertion with Facebook or YouTube. But it's one of those things like, hey, half of our downloads are audio, so at least let's do that. But you're right, it doesn't do video.
So what happens during that portion?
Oh, it's literally just a data point. So I'll talk with my hands. So I get what you're saying. So let's say here's your whole audio file, right? There's the length of it, let's say it's 30 minutes. So when you say the dynamic insertion points here, it doesn't spread it out. So if I don't upload an ad, it does nothing, it just plays straight through. So same with the video, just plays straight through. Then one day when I do upload an ad, it automatically spaces it out to put the ad in there. Now for video, you're uploading a completely separate file. You're uploading a video file to YouTube. So Podbean's only for your audio. You're not even uploading your video there. They do support video. An RSS feed is basically all this data that you're putting your podcast in, and the RSS feed communicates with Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple, and says, hey, Apple, here's the feed, and Apple pulls through that feed to the servers, for this case, Podbean, and goes, and yeah, that's how RSS feeds work. So Spotify, if it detects a video, will completely remove your show entirely from Spotify. Zan's show disappeared from Spotify for a little bit. BJU never knew until right now. But I fixed it. We fixed it right then. That's also part of what we do. Like problems happen, you get in there, you fix the links, and boom, it was back up before anyone noticed. At least before they noticed. No, it was down for like a few minutes or an hour, and we fixed it. So yeah, if you're writing notes, don't upload video to Podbean. Upload video to the video sites. The question was simplify the language. So Podbean, Megaphone, Captivate, whatever, for this conversation, Podbean is your audio podcast service. So when you upload there and you do your show notes and your titles, Podbean will push those after you connect them to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pocket Casts, the other audio, Amazon, Pandora. But Podbean, you don't really mess with those other platforms. you just live in Podbean. And what I was saying is if you would like to upload video to Spotify, because Spotify does support video podcasts. Quick raise of hands though, does anyone watch video on Spotify? Yeah, no one does. So it's, yeah. But if you want to, since you're doing the work of creating video anyways, if you want to upload video to Spotify, then you would not connect Podbean to Spotify. You would go to the Spotify account on your own and upload the video there. But you are adding work. I have, none of my clients do it. You guys know Paul Hastings? Yeah, mostly, yeah. He's a good friend. We talk podcasting, or Schoolhouse Rocked. That's Garrett and Yvette Hampton. We debated about this a long time. And Garrett messed with it and other people have messed with it. They have seen really no success video on Spotify with all those extra hoops we just talked about, because people think Spotify, they think music, they think audio. So, okay, one more.
Who do you suggest then, or how are you going to go forward about the video?
So for video, yes, YouTube. Yeah, we're gonna go over all that. YouTube, Facebook, absolute standards. And a lot of people don't do Facebook, so you'll be cutting edge. So YouTube, Facebook. I recommend Twitter X, because it's that platform lately has really gone out of its way to be very equal. And I know it gets thrown, it's like, it's the alt-right social media. It's like, no, it's just not the left woke social media. It's middle of the round. So those are the three. If you only do two, YouTube and Facebook, absolutely. Yeah?
Aaron from Missouri, I have a question about, so I have a podcast, I haven't moved it to video yet. When maybe this is a plug for your program, I don't know what you offer, this is my question. So when you're uploading audio and you have video, so say you're using Riverside, in the editing process, you're having to edit both of those separate?
No, ma'am. No, so edit your video product. And I'm sorry, the question was, if we're doing audio and video, are those two separate workflows? We'd need a volunteer now or someone to edit audio and then edit video? No, what you do is you make sure the audio video, one product, is great and you're happy with it. Then export two versions, the video MP4 file and the audio MP3 file. Yeah, don't double work, don't do that. Good question, yes ma'am.
All right, we got another non-expert in this type of question.
If you could, please.
Elena from Tennessee.
All right, Tennessee.
So if you are able to get the Adobe Suite
Yes.
for a nonprofit discount.
Oh yeah, it's like $20 a month or something like that.
Yeah. So that answers your ability to edit video.
Adobe Premiere or Adobe Premiere Express, yes.
So that could be your editing product.
100%. That's what I use. I'm all Adobe. The question was, if you're paying for the Adobe Suite, does that have an option in it? Absolutely. In fact, if you guys you're all 501c3s, you should all have an Adobe subscription, because that'll give you Adobe Express, which is its version of Canva, Adobe Premiere, Adobe Photoshop. It'll have so much in there. Adobe Acrobat. Sign up for that. Adobe Firefly. Has anyone messed with Adobe Firefly yet? Oh yeah, it's an AI art generating program. I use it all the time. What time are we done, sir? I want to make sure.
We have another 12 minutes.
Total?
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna fly through this. Your podcasting is a media engine, your main podcast in both video and audio. Host audio on Podbean. We went over this. You guys good? Video, absolutely. YouTube and Facebook. Twitter X is a good idea. And LinkedIn, I believe, caps full videos at 30 minutes, but your episode length should need to be less than 30 minutes anyways. We're not Joe Rogan. We're not doing 2.5 interviews with Robert Downey Jr. So let's not pretend we are. All right. All right, so you need 3 to 10 short form videos or more. This part's really important. Listen, so one of the biggest pushbacks I get is people say, I don't want to flood my page with the same type of content. People don't go to your page statistically. The more content that you post, that you are trying to make good, helpful content, it just increases the chances of it showing up on their page. Top influencers post 300 to 600 pieces of content a week. But it doesn't bother anybody, because it's just increasing the chance of it showing up on your page. That something like that will be relevant. So vertical video, and then vertical video, oh, there we go. TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter X, and LinkedIn. Again, if this is overwhelming, to categorize by hierarchy. If you only do 2, dominate Facebook and Instagram. That's where homeschool moms are primarily. With Zan, we see actually a ton of traction, and with Roger on TikTok. But if you got to pick 2, Facebook and Instagram for these. But then, yes ma'am.
Quick question, Elena, Tennessee. What's your take on Rumble?
Rumble. So we just did the American Campfire Revival video series with Kirk, and we added Rumble. and the views were very low. So I have no opinion on Rumble, like politically, or I know it's very conservative. So if it's easy to work in your workflow, absolutely throw the full episodes on Rumble. But a quick search on Rumble, you can see the brands that Rumble has reached out to. Her question was, is Rumble a good platform as well? A quick search will show Rumble's very political, which is great. It's conservative talking points. I didn't see a lot of home education on there. But if it's easy to work in your workflow, it's kind of like if you've done all the hard work anyways, sure. But I haven't found it to be great. Yes, ma'am?
What about uploading to Pinterest?
So Pinterest, that would be good for the short clips, these vertical videos, or use AI or a volunteer to grab quotes and do pictures. I haven't messed with Pinterest too much. The ones I've seen the best traction with are these ones, but Pinterest would be good. I'm gonna start flying through. Okay, this part's really fun, and I can explain it. When I'm done, by the way, do I have to kick everyone out, or? I'm here all day, and I am here to serve you guys. So I showed someone, who did I show the AI blog post thing to? Are they in this room? Yeah, it was pretty cool, huh? So basically, you link YouTube. I use Google Gemini. My wife prefers ChatGPT, lots of them, right? Has anyone messed with AI? Okay, so some of it's new. I know it's like, I recommend the easiest to dabble with are ChatGPT and Google Gemini. They're free. Here's what I would do with Google Gemini. You go there and you say, please make 2 blog posts, or please make 3 blog posts using this video. Copy paste your video. Please make sure each blog post is a separate topic. Please pull 3 to 4 quotes and who said them from those. Generate. And it'll generate a perfect blog post with everything I just said. Now, will it get you all the way there? No. It'll get you a good B+, A- or C. But that could have taken a volunteer a couple hours, and you just did it instantly. And now someone can just tighten that up, and that gets on your website.
Is that in your packet?
The one I'm offering here, no, but I do that for clients, yes. We do email newsletters, website updates, all that kind of stuff. It would just cost you more. So just this, of all the stuff you could probably do on your own, it is this one, because it's the blog post. Okay. Release schedule. All right, so I said 1st and 15th. Really, as I talked to Ted, it's really twice a month is what I recommend. You don't have to do every week. For an alliance, Zan does every week, which is great, and she should still do that. But I would recommend do like first Monday and third Monday. You know, something like that makes sense for your schedule for the core episode drops, and then just fill all the other content we're talking about, the blog post, the vertical videos on the in-between. And what's so beautiful about this, guys, is you're now working with your whole team, and it's not just some other random appendage you have to like work on. It's part of your core mission. And you're being able to fill all of these platforms that you're trying to fill anyways from the same engine, which is good for your website, it's good for your brand, and it's really good for your SEO, because they're going to start, SEO is search engine optimization. So Google's going to start seeing, oh, this entity, THSC, or whatever, all these different places, are saying the same things on all these platforms, and they're getting engagement, which just helps your whole brand. Make sense? Trailer. Everyone forgets this. Don't forget the trailer. So trailer is just a short promo, 30 seconds. Hi, this is Diane. We're so excited to launch this podcast, blah, blah, blah. We're going to be talking A, B, and C. It's encouraging. It's helpful. It's for the home educators of, what's your state, ma'am? I want to get it right. Tennessee. That's what I got. Yeah, Tennessee. 30 seconds, and you use that video and audio to make sure all the platforms are working. It's like your test, essentially. And then media assets weekly. Everyone good so far? All right. And again, I want this to be so clear, guys. I'm here. I'm a homeschool dad. I'm on the same team as you guys are. I want you guys to succeed. I didn't even know Czech existed when we started homeschooling in Colorado. And Czech is incredible. Love Czech. But now that I know they're there, I'm like, oh, there we go. Like, this is helpful. This is super helpful. They tell me about umbrella schools. They tell me about the law. They have all the meetups. Like, I want the people in your states to know you exist. So whether or not you hire my company, which I'm about to give you a very shameless sales pitch here in a couple seconds. Hey, here we go. Questions? No, I already. Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back. All right, so normally it's about $3,000 for the launch package, and $650 a month is, $950 for the launch with $650 a month for the ongoing for 12 months. And that will get you 2 episodes completely edited a month, polished and beautiful, submitted for review. So if you have issues with them, we'll make them perfect. And then 6 reels per, which is a screaming deal. And my COO said, you can't offer that, but go ahead and do it. And hopefully you won't be upside down. And then the $950, which is normally $3,000. This usually takes about a month. This is minimum 4 hours of coaching. but we're gonna create your trailer for you. We're gonna create your promo for you. We're gonna do a full graphic design package and branding. We'll set up all the destinations, Apple, Spotify, YouTube. Now, usually, if you already have a YouTube channel, I've missed this. This is super important. If you already have some socials for your state org, which you should, don't make a new one. Like sometimes people want to create the podcast like this cool. Don't do that. Like incorporate. This needs to be part of who your brand is. So, okay. We'll do gear training. We'll do complete Riverside training, exactly what to do, and then. You get a membership portal. The membership portal has a lot of training videos, tutorials, and obviously we troubleshoot as necessary. Like I explained with Zans, it disappeared off Spotify. I was talking to Indiana that you get massive issues with Apple Podcasts. We're there for you. We'll hop in there, we'll fix it. Now here's the special for today only, before I hit this tag. So only today, but anyone who commits today, you don't have to give me a credit card, but we're all Christians here, so you look me in the eye, we're like, we're on. I am not going to charge for the launch package at all. We will do that completely for free. And again, but I'm only honoring that today. And I know that sounds so shameless and salesy, but as you can see the numbers, like that's only today, guys. And so the way, oh good, 5 minutes. The way it works on a technical standpoint is we work together after you say, yes, I'm in, as a lot of people have had questions. The next step is we'll do a discovery call in a few weeks after you've come down for the conference. We could talk. We'll figure out the most appropriate launch date and work backwards. And so you're not going to just start paying monthly without something to show for it. Well, and if you do us, you won't be paying for this at all. But what we do is we figure out your launch date and you start the $650 a month just 1 month prior. That's how we do that. And leading up to that, we help you like, all right, what's your topic's going to be? Let's get a bunch of these episodes in the can. So by the time you launch, you're already like 12 or 13 episodes recorded ahead of time.
And you already have to have spent the money for the gear.
So we usually usually in here is we start working together on what's the most appropriate, gear setup for you. Do you have the budget? Let's just get the cam link and all that. No, let's do a webcam. Hey, do you already have this? The reason why this is slightly ambiguous is I know a lot of you are at different levels. Like some people have already launched a podcast. Some people are just thinking about it. So it was kind of hard to line item exactly. And it also made it slightly easier to make it free. Okay.
Shelley from Ohio. $650 a month. Is there a contract for us?
It is 12 months, yes. So that's 2 times 12, 24. Again, public school. Yeah, it's 24 full episodes is what you're paying for, plus the trailer and all that. Yes, ma'am.
So if your podcast is weekly, that just doubles that?
Correct. If you already have a podcast that's weekly, here's what one client has done. They kept going weekly. They stuck with, they played closer to 1,300 because they didn't get this sweet thing. And they just have us edit 2 of them. And then they let their team handle the other 2 to make sure they keep doing the weekly thing. So that's an option too. We ask for just a little appropriate in your branding promotion of my services. So that might just be in the show notes. Maybe it's the end of your episode, like real quick stinger, brought to you by the podcast upload, bring your podcast to life. Something real simple like that just to, we'll work together to make sure it's not obnoxious. Any other questions? On my notes I had, if we didn't have time to cover, is people wanted to know how to make money on their podcast. We can cover that one, but okay. Tracy?
Quick question, the 6 social reels per episode, do you upload those or?
Good question. We will not do the uploading because so when I was crunching the numbers, that was where the hang up really was the uploading because my team has to use all these different services. We do SEO notes and tags for every single one. That gets a lot. So I said, hey, the biggest savings here will be if our team makes these reels great with some branding, some music and stuff if it's appropriate, and we'll train you guys on how to upload. Again, if your capacity is like, let's just do Facebook and Instagram and probably YouTube. But yeah, yes.
And I'm sorry, does that mean, when you say notes and all that, does that mean like little time links?
For the reels?
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that
not
just
for the
means-
reels, for the regular podcasts, are there little time links or?
We do not do the show notes for this price. You would need to do the show notes. Quick note on that, whenever you do show notes, make sure the name of your podcast episode is searchable. So whatever the topic is, don't be ambiguous. Be so on the nose about what the episode is, and then make sure a minimum of 2 to 3 times the name of that episode is in the show notes. Just SEO stuff, it's important. Any other questions? Oh, I'm getting kicked out, ladies and gentlemen.
No,
Thank you
you're
so
not-
much.
You're not being kicked out, but we are at the point where the time is up. So if some of you need to go pick up kids or whatever, by all means, feel free to do that. But Caleb will be around answering questions. You can stay here to answer some questions, or you can catch him in his booth. I do want to thank all of you for being here, and I want to thank Caleb for his presentation.
Thank you, no problem. Yeah. So people want to know about money. We could talk more about money. And let me see. Babe, are we still recording? So here's the issue with money. So you have to understand something called CPM. Is anyone familiar with the phrase CPM? It stands for cost per mil. They should change it. Cost per mil stands for cost per 1,000 impressions. The average industry rate-ish for podcast CPM is $30, give or take. That means an advertiser or a sponsor will pay around $30 per 1,000 impressions. You should know it's either the top 10 or the top 5% of all podcasts, not homeschool podcasts. All podcasts in existence to get in the top 10% is 476 downloads an episode, which sounds so low, but it should put in perspective that if you're only getting 50 to 80 downloads on the audio side, you're winning. You're doing great. Like it is. So when you cross the 200 mark, and Zan's crushing it. She's doing so good. It's fun. We're way beyond that. But I just want you to understand, a sole sponsor podcast only is not going to be revenue generating. What is revenue generating, what I've done for other brands, is you have to look at everything you offer and get creative. It's like, okay, we have the audio podcast, we have the video podcast, we have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, we have conferences, we have, you have a lot of stuff I don't even know, right? Build packages from that. This is actually what I do with Kirk and his branding. I'm part of the advertising team. And then now your numbers, not just the podcast numbers, now you have a lot more numbers to work with. And now you can go get a sponsor that makes a lot more sense. And maybe they do it for a year, and maybe it's like a 50-50, like, hey, we're a nonprofit, so it's a little bit of a give. Like, hey, we're on that mission, we want you to succeed, so we will underwrite your podcast, and in return, you just need to kind of present them with something like, hey, we're gonna mention you once a month in an email, we're gonna do A, B, C, and D, and of course, you're gonna be at the head of every podcast episode. That is where I have seen success. But if there's something called programmatic advertising. Is anyone familiar with programmatic? Has anyone ever listened to a podcast and you hear an advertisement that's reminiscent of the radio days? It's kind of like the old school, like AutoZone, or something like that. Those are called programmatic ads, and they're just a waste of money. They don't pay $30 CPM. I think they pay closer to $2 CPM or less, because you don't do any work for them. You're part of the marketplace, and they run their ad on yours with $1 billion. Don't do it. It dilutes the value of your podcast, and you got like 12 cents. So.
And you may be promoting something that you don't.
And there's a really good chance you're promoting something that could not be in line with. Like the last thing we want, people get running pro-life podcast, and suddenly Planned Parenthood has a advertisement on their podcast. It's like we laugh, but at the same time, could you imagine being in that situation? It's just like, oh, jeez. So, anyways, that is the best way to monetize the podcast. If you're looking for just straight growth, those are the numbers you should know. $30 per CPM, which means. And that's just for one advertiser. But so that's why the big podcasts you hear 12, 13 ads. That's why, because they need so many ads and so many downloads to make a few $100 a month. Not everyone's Joe Rogan. Yes, ma'am.
Amanda, North Carolina, random, not related to advertising question. Is it important to have in your podcast, consistent time? Like that it always be 30 minutes?
No. No one cares. Here's things to know. I would say 30 and under. Like we record with Zan, we do a lot of two-parters, and we try not to push a single part going over, 45 minutes. 45 would probably be, if she does a conversation that's 45, generally we're like, okay, that'll be a single episode. That's good. Because we can look at the data, and I can tell you the data, people drop off 20 minutes, 26 minutes, give or take. And the other thing is release date. A lot of people are like, when do you release? There's no data to support when you can release. You could Google as much as you want, and people will take opinions. Again, with Paul Hastings and Schoolhouse Rocked, I'm part of a podcast collective. We share a lot of data. And the graph was just, it didn't matter. It doesn't, for Zan, we were very consistent. I think it's it is every Wednesday morning at 5. I schedule those, I should know. Every Wednesday, it does come out. So what is important is whatever release dates you choose, stick with them, because then it just begins to be habit. But it doesn't like Wednesday, Friday morning, Tuesday afternoon, like make it the same and stick with it. Yes, ma'am.
Can you repeat so I can videotape what we're supposed to ask Google, Gemini for the AI for the?
Yes, I'm also recording this session, and would it be helpful if I made this available to you guys afterwards? Yes. Okay, so I will. My wife's recording it, so yes. So you almost need a whole course, and I'm still dabbling on AI. It's called generative AI. That's the AI, not Terminator AI. It's generative AI, which we call it AI. It's not AI. Essentially, it's an algorithm that is compiling at rapid speed the data across the internet and generating a response. It's not actual artificial intelligence. That is a whole nother conversation. So to answer your question, you would make sure your episode is already on YouTube, because again, Gemini and YouTube communicate very well. And you would copy that in Gemini's prompt. Have you used Gemini before? Okay, so you can mess with it today. It'll blow your mind. You could even say, please create a grocery budget for under $500 a month at the local Trader Joe's within 3 miles of this address, organized by aisle, and it'll give it to you. This stuff's crazy. But what we use it for this, so you would say, you copy paste the video, and then you say, using this video, please generate 2 blog posts with different topics. Also, please pull 2 to 4 quotes from these, and then they're gone. But they saw earlier, it not only will it just spit out the text, it'll format it for you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Jimmy
Jay.
from Louisiana, if we're not hiring you, what are the best tools to pull reels out of long form videos?
Oh yes, Opus, OPUS.PRO. Also another option, Wave Video, Wave, WAVE .video. But you'll see Opus, it'll blow your mind. I use both for Zan's and all the other podcasts because Opus, you can connect a video or upload a video. It's AI, it'll scan the whole video, it'll pull clips, not perfect, and then it will organize them by Metascore according to what is most trending online currently at that moment. So it'll give you a score of hey, this has a good hook, you should use this. But then it's interesting if some clients see that and they're like, why am I paying you? I'm like, okay, do it by yourself for a while. And they'll be like, oh, it's still a pain. It's kind of like when you give someone I have a backhoe. I don't need you, I'll just get a backhoe. It's right, go for it. Buy the backhoe and you do it. But yes, Opus.pro is very helpful. It does captions. I don't use it for captioning. I use Wave.video for that. But Opus is a great tool for that. You can also hire people on Fiverr. Don't hire me. My entire team is American. We don't use, most of our competitors use overseas editors. My editors work for Focus on the Family, Dave Ramsey, Kirk Cameron. We're professionals, and we're also, my COO and multiple other people are homeschoolers, so we're on the team.
Okay, folks, the rest of the questions will be handled at his booth.
Yes, sir. Hey, thanks. That was fun. Thank you so much.